Yo, 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 welcome back to the Boosty Sports Pod. Just two bros smarter than the average Joe trying to get our word out there. Episode 13, Griff. This is
Yeah,
we're we're
they're
tr-
flying.
we're trucking along. I remember when we started, we talked about how like we were gonna get to um, March Madness. Check. Now we're into NBA playoffs. So like we're next thing you know, it's gonna be draft time for the NFL. So, um, short this week in sports. This week we wanted to cover and dive in more in depth on a lot of things that happened this past week and going into the future. So we'll start off with the NBA season ending. Dramatic finish in the West this week.
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there. Specifically, the top three seeds were all within a win by the time the season was over. I've never seen that in my lifetime. Uh, all three teams had a case going into it, but OKC did eventually get that number one seed. So then Denver is gonna have either. I think they're probably gonna get the Lakers. I like the Lakers against the Pelicans there. Um,
Yeah.
but the West is definitely going to be a lot more close. I feel like the series in the West will be more in the game six and game sevens than the East. But at the same time, don't sleep on the East. There is some good matchups. Cavs Magic. Uh, the Pacers have really struggled here lately, but if they can play like they did in the beginning of the year, they could definitely give the Bucks a run for their money. So definitely looking to be very interesting, and we'll dive more in depth with the NBA as we go on.
Yeah, talked about dramatic finish in the West. You talked about how it being super close at the end, but coming down the stretch, I know I saw this over a lot of sports media pages. This was the first time ever that there was a three-way tie going into the last day of the NBA season, and as you said, uh, OKC comes out on top. Tremendous year. I mean, the three teams we had, one. Team that had been here, and then two foes. Timberwolves ended up getting the three seed, but like Griffin said, we'll talk a little bit more on that. And something we talked about last week, actually, we talked about how the Coyotes of Phoenix got the okay to build a brand new stadium in Phoenix. And I meant to touch on last week that it probably wasn't a great idea. And we talked about how it wasn't. We talked even more about how they weren't selling tickets and we didn't understand how they were going to pay for this. Well, 2 days later, bombshell comes out. Coyotes are actually leaving Phoenix, which is so funny. They're heading to Utah, probably Salt Lake City. Much more established hockey fan base there. I know they have a minor league hockey team that sells out on the weekly. So that'll be interesting. And I just think it's funny how we talked about it last week and it just stuff just starts rolling after we talk about it.
Yeah, that's happened a lot since we started this. Going all the way back to our NFL predictions in the playoffs and who was going to get hired as coaches. This one specifically, we knew that Arizona didn't really have a lot of a hockey fan base. They're in the desert, so you don't really get that like northern cold culture. So it was definitely not likely that they were going to sell a stadium like Utah will. Yeah, very interesting how this whole thing played out here. News leaks that they're getting a new stadium, and then just a few days later, nope, you're gonna go to Utah. So
I
very interesting.
I think it's better for the fans. I don't think the city of Arizona will be too upset with that one. Next thing, I just saw this morning actually. CD Lamb and Justin Jefferson are not reporting to the optional training camp that every NFL team has late spring, early summer. Um, and this all probably has to do with them entering the last year of their contract, which I mean makes sense. We see NFL players do this every year, but two high caliber wide receivers like this, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, see how the contract disputes go, and see what goes from here.
You know, just I feel like this happens every year. You get a few like pretty well known, pretty good players that will. I mean, yes, it's optional, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But once mandatory training camp starts happening, then there's going to be some issues. Like you get into late May and people aren't showing up, then I'd be concerned. But if it's just optional, I mean, people just do this.
Yeah.
Whatever reason they have, I wouldn't take it any further than it was optional and they did not opt in. So
Yep. And last thing on this week in sports before we start diving in on some other things, New York Jets today just released brand new jerseys, and it was actually a really cool like promo video that they did on that. It looked like completely AI generated, if I'm going to be completely honest. But what are your opinions on them, Griff?
yeah, so I just added these 30 seconds ago. And the reason I did is because I've never seen a more wide range of opinions on Twitter than I did when they released earlier today. Um, I heard people saying that they were bad. I heard people saying they were good, and I heard people saying did they even change anything?
Yeah.
Off at first glance, it does not look like they changed anything. I looked at it. You really had to look hard to find the details. I just thought it was funny that they just randomly like dropped it and made a big deal about it, and I can't even point out what changed. Like, I was like, what even is happening? And have they released the Texans ones yet?
Yes, I think so. I think a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I
But
think the Texans did a better job
yeah.
because the Jets literally did not change anything.
Yeah,
I
the
just wanted to add
Jets.
that because I was like, why was this like a big reveal
Yeah,
for just like a few weeks?
they took off New York off the front of the jersey. And then they added like two stripes on the side, kind of like the 49ers stripes right
Yeah,
there on the shoulder, but other than that, I mean,
I just don't like the Jets uniforms. I like the old ones, like middle 2010, like in that the 2010s era. I think those were really cool, and I think
mhm,
they changed it and it just kind of got bad.
yeah.
Um, I would have liked to see the Aaron Rodgers in what Brett Favre was wearing.
um so, as we talked about, dive into the NBA playoffs. Start today as you guys are watching it on Tuesday, April 16th. Play-in games will start tonight. But we'll kick it off. One seeds, OKC and Boston. They'll get their play-in matchup coming up. Deserved. Boston's been like one of the has been the most dominant team in basketball this year, and one of the most dominant teams probably since uh, the Warriors in 14 and 14 and 15. Um, no, 15 and 16. And then the two seeds, Denver and New York. New York is one that's a little surprising. Beat out the Bucks and the Cavs without Julius Randle, basically on the back of uh, Jalen Brunson and playing Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart 48 minutes a night.
Um, I like these matchups in the beginning a lot. I think you'll get a lot of good basketball. I think the Pelicans and the Lakers is a really good one to start off. I know that is tomorrow, or I guess tonight when you'll be watching this. That will be a really fun game. The line is at Pelicans by 1.5, but I think the Lakers have been pretty hot as of lately, so I would definitely be a close game. And the Kings and Warriors, what a weird place for these two to be duking it out.
Yeah.
These two, if the West wasn't so competitive, you could definitely see this being like a second round matchup. But weirdly, we're seeing this in the play-in with a 9 and 10 seed. Um, Obviously, the Warriors are not like they weren't once were, but have shown glimpses of what they could be. And then the Kings kind of had a quiet season, just hanging around in the back. So that'll also be a really good game.
Yeah. So we'll dive into the West then, and we'll touch on those playing games too. Clippers Mavs. This is a game that I'm really looking forward to. I think this would be a really good matchup. Actually, as of right now, I think the Mavs are favorited to beat the Clippers in a four-game series. I mean, in a seven-game series. Um, yeah. I guess I'll start. PJ Washington, who the Mavs picked up at the All-Star break. I think that was at the trade deadline. I think that was one of the biggest um, impact trades, I think, of probably any of the ones that actually happened this deadline. I think he's been a huge impact for the Mavs, and I think Luka, just being Luka, has really put the Mavs in a spot where they can go win this game. Um, if I want to talk about the Clippers a little bit, um, I mean, this is hard. The West is so good. Like I can see a world where the Clippers go and win an NBA championship. I can see a world where the Mavs or the T Wolves or it's gonna be hard, but I think I'm still gonna go probably Mavs a little bit in this one. I could be completely wrong. I mean, I don't. I think it's a coin flip at this point.
Yeah, this is another really good one. It's kind of what you see in this one is kind of the last of the big three era versus literally one of the best basketball players I've ever witnessed. Kind of just duking it out in the first round. They obviously have some history in the playoffs. They've played each other in the last few years, so they definitely know each other. But it's hard to say because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can just both of them combined can get a bucket, and they're both really good defenders. But at the same time, Luka is having one of the best seasons ever, and it really just depends on how Luka plays, in my opinion, of how
Hmm.
this series goes. Um, if the Mavs um, surrounding help can just do enough for Luka to have a 30-point, 40-point night and them to win. I think Kyrie's going to be huge in this too. Like you need your surrounding players to help
Hmm.
because Luka cannot do this all on his own. And when you face a team like the Clippers, you have all those players like Westbrook and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So very good game. This is definitely going to go to a game 6 or a game 7, barring any injury.
Yeah.
I would probably say the Mavs only because of how Luka is playing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would look at this and call us crazy for that pick, but I would just want to go back and look at past playoff series, especially the last couple of years with the Mavs and the Suns, and how Luka himself carried that team over a Westbrook, I mean, over a Booker and
AD,
KD led
Chris Paul.
Suns and Chris Paul. And I also think the addition of a Kyrie Irving, yes, he was there a little bit last year, but he is actually playing a really good role in this team right now. And I think the Clippers defensively, yes, they have Kawhi Leonard, who is a multiple time Defensive Player of the Year winner and one of the best defenders we've ever seen, but that's just Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's not going to pick a matchup against Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. He's going to be on a Tim Hardaway, who the Mavs can win a game without Tim Hardaway scoring. So I think it'll be an interesting one. I think it's probably going to reflect more of Mavs Suns over the last couple years. I think it's going to be heated, and I think, as you said, it'll probably go to a game 6, game 7, but that'll be an interesting one. Um, the next game, this one, God, these are so good. So T-Wolves and Suns. We have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant going up against Anthony Edwards, one of the best rising stars in the game. Already, he's in his fourth year, third or fourth year, and he has kind of cemented himself as like a top 8 player in the league. He is actually unbelievable alongside Rudy Gobert. So that'll be interesting. Gosh, I don't see a world where the Suns' big three works out and wins a championship. So I would actually probably lean a little bit towards the T-Wolves. I think the deciding factor in this one probably comes down to Rudy Gobert's play, along with Naz Reid, six man. Naz Reid's going to finish second in six man of the year voting. So this one's hard, but I think I would pull T-Wolves depending on how Rudy Gobert plays and defends down low.
Yeah, so one thing I am looking to answer is when is Carl Anthony Towns supposed to come back? Like, is he back? Because I guess I don't know, but
Yeah.
that is a very huge part to
It
this.
says he will, as of 5 days ago, he will return before playoffs.
Okay, so with a healthy cat, the Timberwolves I think will win this series. I think with the Suns, and we've already talked about this a little bit earlier when we started this podcast, but the thing with the Suns is they sold their entire depth for the this big three, and when the big three doesn't have a good day, no one else is there to help them. Um, and we've seen that. I know it is a very competitive uh, West, but they definitely struggled at times. And I just think that the Timberwolves are better depth wise, and they do have really two dominant players with Cat and Gobert down low, and the Suns really don't have anything down low to counteract that. You're gonna need a pretty good performance from your big three every game. Um, Booker, at least two out of the three have to show up every game, and that's just what you did. That you signed up for that. When you want a big three like that and you sell the rest of your depth, they have to have good games all the time. Because if they don't, then no one else is going to be able to salvage the day for them. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the Timberwolves are going to win the series as well. It would not surprise me if the Suns won or they kept it close. Um, because when the big three is playing well, it's hard to beat them. But
Hmm.
it's just a matter of how consistent they can play well.
Yeah. It's just if it's all comes down to if they're how they're clicking and yeah. Yeah. So, touch on the next game. You talked about it a second ago, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. Warriors Kings. I think this is probably going to be the most exciting play-in game. I guess Heat 76ers on the East side, you could say, but um, I I think this will be one of the best ones to watch, considering the Warriors have won the last 11 of 15 against the Kings, but the Kings have. The Kings have won the last two meetings this year by 1 point each time. Um, and if you look at the last three games this year between the two, they were all decided by 1 point. One flipped the Warriors' way, two flipped the Kings' way, and I just think De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Devontae Sabonis alongside Keegan Murray. I think that team right there has all the assets in the world to go and beat the Warriors.
Yeah.
Do I say they get into the playoffs after they play their second playing game? I don't know, but I think a Steph Curry led Warriors team in 2024 just I don't think they have what it takes to go and beat this Kings team again.
Yeah, this one, it really just depends on how the Warriors play, in my opinion. Steph, he's still a generational talent, but it just seems like his help has decreased drastically over the last few years. And, if you're gonna want to beat the Kings, which are a pretty solid team as well, sometimes they have underperformed, but all around a very solid team. You're gonna need to get good performances from all of your starting five. So Clay Thompson has had a pretty rough year in terms of the whole season. If he can pull it together and kind of show that he's still got it, I think the Warriors have a chance. And if Draymond Green can not get ejected, that would be a big step forward because he just gets ejected all the time.
Yeah.
If he can keep his head straight and actually play defense that he's capable of doing, it could be close. But I would say the Kings are overall more talented.
Yeah, like you said, it would have to come down to I know Curry's gonna go out there and he's gonna get his 30 piece, but it's gonna come down to Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Chris Paul coming off the bench, Klay Thompson coming off the bench. Like those guys are gonna have to like have a part in winning this game. And I also like I ain't a GM, but I'm assuming this is going to be Draymond's last season in Golden State, in Sacramento, in San Francisco with them. And I don't know if the Warriors are down even a bit. I could see Draymond doing something really stupid to end his career
Yeah.
here.
Uh, he's done some very, very questionable things, especially in playoff scenarios. Him and Sabonis also have a weird
Yeah.
feud, and they have a lot of backstory. So it would not surprise me if shit went down, but overall, I'm gonna say the Kings win this one.
Yeah. 7-8 matchup. Uh, you can lose one. These teams can't afford to lose a game. But Pelicans Lakers early this week. This is a fun one too. The Lakers, I believe, have a team built to go and win a series or two. They genuinely do. If you look at them on paper, they have a team that can go do it. Anthony Davis just played 76 games this year. It's the most games he's ever played in his career. And the Pelicans are Zion Williams, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum, I guess, can get stuff done every once in a while. But I just don't really see a world where the Lakers don't make the playoffs, and I really don't see a world where the Lakers don't win this game. The play-in is, yeah, technically the playoffs, but I'm talking about the top 8 teams. I just think the Lakers can go and play OKC, and I think that the Lakers will win this game. And I think LeBron's experience, Anthony Davis's experience, and I think the overall team experience this year. I mean, they were right around that 500 mark for so long. They were under the 500 mark. They continued to win games, rattle off wins. I think this should be an easy pickup for the Lakers.
Yeah. So the line would say otherwise. They have the Pelicans by 1.5. There could be a lot of reasons for that, but I would say just off of recency bias, the Lakers are way. I think the Pelicans have more wins, but I think that the Lakers have more momentum going into the playoffs. And like you said, the playoffs are a completely different demon. You need a mindset. You need experience from players. It's a completely different game. And you know, the Lakers have had a lot of issues this year with being consistent, but this is the strongest I think they've ever been this
Yeah.
year. If D'Angelo Russell can get you 20 off the bench, or if he's starting, uh, Austin Reeves can get you 15. Obviously, AD and LeBron, they've been outstanding this year, and they've been healthy as well. They've played their games, and it just really depends on uh, how the how the role players. I know that just keeps
It's yeah, I know.
happening. Like that's gonna be the determining factor for every game we talk about. Because yes, you have the star players, but when games get tough and you're in the playoffs, it's not about the star players. It's about who's around them.
When every team has a star player, it slowly just starts to become
Role players.
who's gonna step up and win the game. I wanted to talk about this Lakers one too. I mean, this is a Lakers team that last year won a game in the playoffs, won a playoff series. You have people that came back: Jared Vanderbilt, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, AD, LeBron, and then you also brought in someone, Gabe Vincent, who just played in in the championship last year with Miami. And you brought in these guys that have experience in the playoffs, and you're playing a Pelicans team that has continuously made the play-in the last 4 years and has struggled to make the top 8 teams in the actual playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think having LeBron and that experience on this team can get them over the Pelicans.
Yeah, it's hard to count out LeBron this early on in the season, but at the same time, if the Warriors go up and win and the Lakers lose,
Oh yeah, that would be
that
a
would be
crazy
one of
game.
the best games I think you'll ever see. The Lakers and the Warriors with a chance to make the playoffs. I think that would be a really fun game.
Yeah. We'll kick it over to the East. Cavs Magic. We talked about this one a lot, being Cavs fans. Um, I personally, looking at this matchup, I think this is probably the most favorable matchup out of the top 6 teams for the Cavs to play. I bet the Cavs probably wish that they got that 2 seed, but I mean, at the end of the day, they would have had to play a Heat or 76ers. So I think the 3 or 4 seed was perfectly fine. Um, so the Cavs playing the Magic. The Magic, it's literally just Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. And I think this is a big one for the Cavs for many reasons. The Cavs, this young core that we have not won a playoff series yet in their young career. That's one. Donovan Mitchell becomes a free agent this year. I think being able to pick up a playoff series, have one under your belt going into the offseason might just be enough of a factor for Donovan Mitchell to re-sign with the Cavs. And yeah, I don't think they could win the second series. So I mean, that's like I think the Cavs just outweighed the Magic in so many different ways.
Yeah. This one actually is the first time I'm gonna say that the Magic lack star depth. They do have the role players. That's kind of what got them to the fifth seed. But they, other than Paolo, they literally don't have a star player, and that hurts, especially in the playoffs, because you need a guy when it's tied with 20 seconds left. You need a guy that you can get the ball to and know that he's going to get a bucket. And other than Paolo, which they're going to guard him religiously, they don't have anybody.
Hmm.
So with the star depth, the Magic are definitely not going to win the series. I don't think. You would have to have a pretty much all around performance from your entire team for that to happen. Um, the Cavs have Mobley and Allen down low, and when Garland can be consistent along with Donovan Mitchell putting up like 28 a night, it's really hard to beat this team. So in a 7 game series, I don't see the Cavs losing here.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna top that one more. I don't coming to Cleveland, I think is hard enough to come into Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and beat the Cavs in the playoffs, and I just don't think that the Magic really fan base in general, if, when the Cavs go down to Orlando to play them, I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor. But I think the fans in Cleveland are a factor when it comes to home court advantage for the Cavs here. And in a 7 game series, you're going to play there 4 times, and I don't
Yep.
I don't see them being able to pick up 2 wins. So I think the Cavs get it done. This next one, interesting one. All right. Um, as you guys probably know, a couple months ago there was some some heated stuff happening between the Bucks and the Pacers. Well, we are now fortunate enough to see them play a 7 game series. This is a Bucks team that has been struggling since the hiring of Doc Rivers. Actually dropped to the 3 seed. We're up as a 2 seed here just a week ago. I think they were 3 games up on the Knicks, and now the Knicks jumped them with a week to go. A team with Damian Lillard, who we've seen play really good in the playoffs, just lacked the team around him to win in the playoffs. And then we also have a Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Brooke Lopez, a team that just won a NBA championship 2 years ago. Um, Unfortunately for the Pacers, though, Tyrese Halliburton has not been what he was at the beginning of the year. I mean, the beginning of the year he was putting up 25, 11, and 8. Like the dude was unstoppable. But since All Star break has just been not able to score. They did pick up Pascal Siakam in a trade, and I don't. Pascal Siakam hasn't been really what he was in Toronto. I mean, he was the face in Toronto, and he just really hasn't been that. And then trading away Buddy Hield, I think that is one that looking back on the trade, that one really stings because Buddy Hield was a guy that can go out there and he's going to be a spot up shooter and he's going to hit threes in clutch times and he's been in playoff scenarios. But they traded him away, so the Bucks, I'm really feeling confident on this one. Maybe 5, 6 games. Don't think this even sniffs 7 games, but yeah, this one's a fun one.
Yeah. I again, if Tyrese Halliburton can play like he did in the beginning of the season, I think things will get interesting. But as of now, I really don't see. I know the Bucks have been struggling as of late, but I really don't see a scenario where the Bucks go and lose to the Pacers. They both of them have been struggling since the All Star break, but the Bucks just have a better team, so
Yeah.
I do have to win this one.
And yes, I know that the Bucks just played 82 games, but I'm still gonna kind of look at them as I was looking at them when they entered the regular season. I think Giannis is one of those guys that when Giannis needs a game and he needs to win a game, he's one of those guys that it's so hard to stop him from scoring because he's just
Yeah.
going to go to the paint with will. Like he's just going to bully his way down there. So this is
Is
one,
Miles Turner still on the Pacers?
yes.
Okay.
Uh, but I don't know. Bucks, I don't know. I just feel like if you get close to stopping Giannis, I think Dame has been built for times like this to where Dame can have his games in there as well.
Yeah, Dame will definitely do enough as a role and to at least help Giannis in some way. So
Yeah. This next game, if I would have told you January 1st that the East 7-8 game would be the 76ers and the Heat, what would you have told me?
The 76ers would be. Uh, I don't believe you, but the Heat, honestly, this is where they like to be.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is where they thrive. They thrive in the mentality of, make it to the
Win
playoffs
or
and
go
then we'll
home.
start talking. Um, the 76ers, obviously, they got here because Embiid's injury. Um, he's come back and looked just as well as he did when he left. So this will definitely be interesting in terms of can the Heat keep that mentality that they've had over the last few years, where even if they're a low seed in the playoffs, they can still make a big run. Versus the Sixers, who have been solid all year, but with Embiid being out, they dropped games, and what probably could have been a 3 seed, maybe a 2 seed in the East, is now a 7 seed. So
Mhm.
well, this will be very interesting. I don't think it'll be close. I think I have the 76ers by maybe not double digits, but like 8. But definitely be interesting.
Yeah. So if I'm the Celtics, I might be shaken a little bit because this is a Heat team that coming from like I'm talking like He get through this or win the next game. This is a Heat team that did not lose really any offensive scoring from last year's team that made it to the NBA Finals. This is a team that actually got better on the offensive side of the ball, picking up Terry Rozier, which is also a defensive weapon at the same time. Do they win this game? I think that they can beat the 76ers. If they don't win this game, I don't think it's a problem because I don't see them losing to the Hawks or the Bulls.
Yes,
So if
I forgot to
I
mention that.
if I am Boston or if I am New York, I am worried because you guys 100% have one of the most difficult matchups in the first round, having to play the Heat.
Yeah, both of the teams, no matter what
Yeah.
happens, if the 76ers and the Heat end up being 7 and 8 seeds, yeah, there's going to be an issue. The Celtics literally were down 3-0 last year and to the same Heat team.
Yeah.
They almost came back, but they ended up losing in a horrible game 7. So, the Celtics, maybe they want that matchup for revenge or something, but the Knicks have no playoff experience, like, at all.
I mean, the
And
Heat beat the Knicks last year in the second round.
yeah. So, if I'm either of those teams, yeah, I mean, the 76ers, I think the expectations might be low, and I think that might be able to help them maybe play with a chip on their shoulder. As of, in the last few years, any
Hmm.
playoff struggle has been just like a failed expectation, but now you are trying to exceed expectation. So
Yeah.
I think you'll get a different Sixers team as well.
Yep. I'm not gonna talk about this too much because I know we're been on this for a little bit. I just want to say I'm gonna take the Heat in this game. I think that lineup. I think they can beat a Tyrese Maxey, a Joel Embiid, a Tobias Harris led team. But if they lose, I don't care. I think both of these teams make it in the playoffs no matter what. I think they go and
Yeah.
beat the next game, and I'm just excited to see that in the East. It'll definitely make the East more what's the word like more enticing to watch considering how star packed the West is. Last game, we'll speed through this one. Bulls Hawks. Bulls. I mean, it's the same old Bulls that we have seen for the last 4 years, 5 years. It feels like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vucevic. Kobe White has been one of the most improved players this year. Playing a Hawks team with Trey Young, DeJounte Murray, Clint Capella. I do want to point out, I took the Hawks to win this game, but if you look at statistics over the last year, DeJounte Murray and Trey Young do not play well together. I think they have like a .4 win percentage when they play together, but when they play alone, they play great. So I think if they can work together and they can actually put a game together, they'll win this game easy. I don't think the Bulls really stand a chance. And as to harp on what I've already said, I don't think either team wins the next round. So I think they're gonna be satisfied with their moment they had in this year's NBA playoffs, but they're not gonna get far.
Yeah, just a little thing to add. Yeah, both of these teams are kind of the ones that were kind of thrown in to the play-in. Not no expectations. Like he kind of ended up here. Um, I mean the Hawks are literally 36 and 46. That's not playoff material
Bad.
at all. Um, yeah, whoever wins this game will lose. I don't think it really matters. I mean, just off of
That's how my
because
picks
I
were
have
for
to
the
make a
last one. I
pick.
don't think it really matters. They're both gonna
Yeah,
make it.
I mean, I think the Bulls will win, but they're definitely not going to win whoever they play in the next round.
No. That's the NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs start tomorrow. Today, if you guys are watching it on Tuesday, we'll kick it over to the Masters. This is something I'm passionate about, and then Griffin's going to talk a bit about NASCAR. And we'll kind of bounce off each other here for a second. But I'm going to start. Scotty Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world, wins his second green jacket, and I'm going to tell you, everyone was rooting for Scotty when this weekend started and when this weekend ended. He has won 3 of his last 4 starts. Also has in that other start, he had a T2 where he missed a 5-foot putt to send it to a playoff. So Scotty has been on an absolute tear lately. Congratulations to him. Congratulations on almost being a dad. I know that's going to probably happen in the next few days. But, dude, that dude is insane.
Yeah. For someone that doesn't really care or know about golf all that much, I did watch it a little bit before the weekend, and it's he was always at the top, and everyone was fighting to tie him or beat him. He was the man to beat all day, all week. Um, and he definitely put his money where his mouth was. The best golfer consistently through this whole thing, and he's been on a tear recently. So he's definitely the best golfer in the world. Just interested to see how he plays after this. Maybe there's a slump.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest talking points of the weekend, actually, besides Scotty, had to have been Ludvig Åberg. The Swedish 24-year-old makes his first major start, just turned pro last August, played his college ball at Texas Tech, and let me tell you what, this dude is good. He shot 7 under, finishes runner-up at his first major championship ever. And I think it's safe to say, I know you don't know much, Griff, but I think it's safe to say that we're going to see this dude um, with a major in like the next 2 to 3 years. It could be this year for all I know. He is an absolute generational golf talent. I think he's going to be up there in the top 5 of the world rankings for probably the next 10 years. But yeah, also some notable names that played great this week. Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, and Tommy Fleetwood rounded out the top 5. They had great weekends, but I think the difference between these 4 guys and Scotty was it's one of my favorite sayings in sports. It's bend don't break. And when it came to Sunday on the going into the back 9, all 4 of these guys broke at some point. Double bogey for Oberg, double bogey for Homa, double bogey for Morikawa, and Fleetwood I guess really wasn't even in the hunt. He started the day at 1 under and shot 3 under on Sunday, so not really much for Fleetwood. But for the rest of those other 3 guys, they broke, and Scotty just continued to just bend and not let anything hinder his outcome, and he just played a really clean second 9 on Sunday. Talk about Tiger. I love watching Tiger. I know. I grew up. Tiger already had 2 Masters by the time I was born, but Tiger set the record for most cuts made in the Masters at 24 in a row. Did finish 60th, but shot 1 over. Made the cut by 5. Cut line was +6. He shot +1 in the first 2 days. Made the cut line easy. I think he was top 20 at one point on Saturday before it kind of went downhill. Finished 16 over. Um, I want to I want to talk to all you haters out there that are sitting here and it's kind of embarrassing that Tiger got last. It's kind of embarrassing. You don't understand golf. If you watched every shot the first 2 days, yes, he did not play great the second 2 days, but if you watch every shot on the first 2 days, he was playing amazing. His approach game was out of this world. He putted great. He chipped so well around the greens. I think if he can put that together for 4 days, you can't tell me he's not going to win another event if anything. I just think the health, like the last 2 days, he was pulling everything, um, slicing a lot, and I think that just has to do with his lower body. I mean, he was swinging with his upper body for the last 2 days, and he didn't putt well, but I don't think that's embarrassing. I mean, dude's 48 years old. He's been through hell and back, and dude's making cuts at one of the four at one of arguably the toughest golf competitions of the year. So kudos to Tiger. I will continue to watch featured groups on ESPN Plus if Tiger's in it. Okay, so
Yeah, that's just it's sad to see what's like his health hindering his performance. Um Still cool that he's performing, but sometimes it's just uh I mean if your health isn't going to be well, I would just hang it up while you still got it.
nah, dude, he's got
I'm not
another
saying
like 10 years.
I'm
It's
not saying
golf. It ain't any other
I
sports.
know.
It's
I'm
golf.
aware. I'm aware that he's still talented, but I mean if it's gonna be a problem in the future, I wouldn't force it.
Nah, I think what he's doing now isn't. It's just recovering from what he had in the past. This is just like it's not a great like analogy I'm gonna make here, but like Drew Brees at the end of his career was still super successful with the Saints. They still won so many games, but the dude couldn't throw the ball 20 yards downfield. It's just like Tiger will adapt and he will be back. I mean, he's only played 5 competitive rounds of golf in the last year, and he just had surgery a little over a year ago on his ankle. So he'll be back. Some notable names that didn't make the cut this year: Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Wyndham Clark, Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth, and Sam Burns. All players other than DJ. JT has fallen a little bit too, but all players inside the top 25 in the official world golf rankings didn't even make the cut. Wasn't really close. Um, yeah, but some live golfers did indeed do well this weekend. Bryson, DeChambeau, Cam Smith, and Terrell Hatton all finished top 12. Oh, and Reed all finished top 12. I mean, I like to see it. I think that live is not necessarily a bad thing. I know we've talked about this way in the past. I think they're going to merge, but I don't like calling out these guys for what they've done when they can come here and they can finish top 12. I mean, Bryson was at the top of the leaderboard for 2 days. But yeah, kudos to them. Other live golfers, Mickelson, Rahm, and Kepka didn't have great weekends. They struggled a lot. But I mean, it's golf. At the end of the day, you're gonna struggle. I mean, look at the PGA guys above them that didn't make the cut. So it's whatever. And then the last thing I want to touch on the Masters is Rory McIlroy. And I wanted to talk about if he's ever going to complete this Grand Slam. Griffin, you don't really know what that is, but Rory has won every major championship you can except the Masters. And he won his third of the four in 2010 or 2012. No, 2012. So he has been chasing this Masters win for 12 years to complete his Grand Slam and continues to underperform. Um, and yeah, and I mean, Rory's only 34. I was actually shocked when I saw that the other day. I mean, I've been watching golf pretty heavily for the last 3 years, and I thought Rory was older than that, but he's got another. I mean, Tiger won his last Masters at 43, so Rory's got another 15 years in the tank of high level competitive golf. So I think there is definitely a high percent chance that he completes that. But this weekend was not it for him. His swing was off a lot. I've never seen Rory miss that many fairways in my life.
Is the Grand Slam when you just win every major?
Yeah, you win
Um,
all 4 majors.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's won the other 3. Wait, he hasn't won this one.
Yeah. I mean,
He has 5 total.
I think he'll do it.
Yeah, he's got. I mean,
He's
if
too big
you
of a name.
yeah, and like I said, Tiger won his 5th Masters at 43 years old, so it'll
All
happen
right. So
eventually.
on to some more American topics here. Just a little bit to touch on in terms of NASCAR this week. Um, Chase Elliott won after a very caution-filled race,
Yeah.
snapping his 42 winless streak that went all the way to last year. He had a lot of issues with his leg. He broke his leg before the 2023 season. and he was in and out a lot. So he hasn't gotten a win in a while, and a lot of people were saying that this could be a downfall, but had a good day, kept it up top the whole time, and was able to um, just be there when the checker flag was out. I'll get into a little more how that race ended here in a minute, but like I said, 16 cautions, which tied for a record. 2022 Texas, which was the All Star race, had 16 cautions. This one is all what was advertised. Texas isn't a very popular track. The racing has been subpar, especially in the next gen. Um, but this one I wouldn't say was awful, but I just think the cautions was really boring. Um, a lot of mechanical issues with a lot of good racers. Larson was running away with it until his entire tire fell off. He had a 2 lap penalty for that, and actually got like 16th, which I thought was pretty impressive. Ryan Blaney got into the wall after running top 10, and Hamlin and Chastain were wrecked at the very end of the race when they were trying to win. All those cautions late made for at least like 3 to 4 people getting crashed at the end. But it was a definitely all the stars aligned for Chase to win this one.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of his competition up top crashed. So he was just the next man there. I will give a shout out to Brad Keselowski. I can't remember. I keep not remembering his winless streak, but it's somewhere in 100.
Yeah.
He got second. He looked really good all day. He qualified really bad, but they made tweaks to his car that made him fast all day. He kept getting spots, good pit strategy, and eventually got second at the end of the race. Really good car. If they can keep it like that at Talladega, definitely see him being one of the ones to beat. Um, but with Chase winning, um, Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendricks Motorsports continues their dominance in this season.
Hmm.
8 out of the last 9 winners so far this year have been from either one of those teams, and it's really not been close. It's either the Toyotas or the Chevys have been fast, and look for that to not change. Um, another the way this race ended. Um, you know, obviously I am biased, but I slept on it. I thought about it.
I was gonna say you weren't as harsh today. I thought I was gonna get absolutely ripped today.
No, you're not gonna get absolutely ripped.
Okay.
It's just racing at the end of the day. Chase Elliott and Chastain were in the first row, with 2 laps to go, and the restart. Chastain had a run on the backstretch in the first lap, but he kind of stalled and he fell back. Um, Chase Elliott was ahead by a pretty large margin by the time lap 2 was halfway done, and Chastain got loose, and he checked up, and Byron didn't get that memo, and just ran right into his back,
Yeah.
crashing him and Byron. Um, but Byron was able to finish the race, and Chastain did not. He ran into the wall. So it was I was pretty pissed off when I first saw that because this is the second time this year that Chastain has gotten wrecked on the last lap, and it just so happened that Byron was involved twice. So it was a very controversial end to what was a long ass race. It was damn near 4 hours. So I'm just glad that it's over with, and I'm glad we get Talladega next week so I can
Hell
start talking
yeah.
about Ricky Bobby.
Heck yeah. You get to go to Dega, dude. Let's go.
It's fun. It'll definitely be a fun one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to pick who's gonna be in the top 10 because everyone crashes here.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited to get back on. I know. I'm excited to get back on a super speedway. I mean, the two super speedway races we've had this year, we were blessed, and they were absolutely amazing. So hopefully Talladega can just keep that trend going. We've been on short track racing a lot recently. Had a road course and an intermediate in there, but I'm excited to change it up a little bit.
Yep.
All right, on to the best part of the pod. Let's be honest. Booth battles time. Griffin, last week was like the first time since like week one. Actually, I don't know. It might be the first time ever that I beat you, and I did
Uh,
horrible.
yeah. So it was a terrible week for both
Horrible
of us.
week.
You were ended up net positive, but I went 3-4, which I can contribute to Blaney hit the wall and Chastain crash. So there's 2 points out of that. And then the NBA picks, horrible. We'll get into that later, but absolutely horrible.
Yeah. So Griffin 3-4, as you mentioned, 300 points. I went 4-3, 400 points. This week's kind of a fun one. We get some playoff basketball, some NFL playoff basketball. We were very lucky with what March brought us with college basketball, and now we get to roll that into the NBA. So I'll start it off. My NBA picks this week. I'm going Cavs over Magic. We talked about it. Game one, I just feel like the Cavs have more of a powerful force than the Magic do, and I think they really get this done. And then we also talked about I'm taking the Hawks over the Bulls in their playoff game. I we mentioned both these teams I think are set up for failure in the long run, but the 36 and 46 Atlanta Hawks I'm rolling with.
Yeah, so for mine, both Western Conference playoff games. In the play-in, I'm going to take the Lakers over the Pelicans. We both talked about this. Came in with a lot of momentum, and you can't really count out LeBron and AD. And I'm going to take the Suns over the Timberwolves game one. I don't know why I had a feeling that this is going to be the case, but I think the Suns are going to start off hot and then slowly have inconsistent games with their big three, and I think the Suns will take it game one.
I mean I can't argue with those. We both said that the Timberwolves were going to win that series, so I mean I feel like we're on the same page. You're just giving the Suns the first game, which is I mean that's not the series, so I'm cool with that. NHL, last week of NHL actually. Playoffs start next week. Games go till Thursday, so for any avid NHL watcher, you got till Thursday to finish the regular season. But I'm going with the Calgary Flames over the San Jose Sharks. San Jose Sharks are, I think, a 13-win team on the year. But Calgary is a below 500 team as well. Both these teams aren't fighting for playoff spots. I think this is just pride at this point, and I think San Jose is so bad that their pride can't really get them over this hump. And then, you know, I'm taking Edmonton over Arizona. I think the Coyotes deserve one more loss before they leave the state of Arizona and leave Phoenix. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about these ones. Like I know like usually NHL it's a complete coin flip for me, but I
I'm pretty good
actually
with
feel good
the
about this.
NHL picks.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really think you like Arizona because you just harping on them, wanting them to leave, and
Well, I mean,
then
once I
saying
found
that
out
they.
they played in a collegiate hockey
Yeah,
arena, it
but I
was like,
mean that's just the cards you're dealt with there.
well, you know,
I hope they get a win for that before they leave, because that would screw you over, and it would just be a nice little goodbye.
nice little send
Um,
off.
yeah. So for me, I'm gonna take teams that are a little bit more in the playoff hunt. Um, I have the Wild over the Kraken. The Kraken I think are pretty much exactly 500, and the Wild are I think fighting for a playoff spot. So I have the Wild getting another win for their playoff resume against the Kraken, and then I took the Islanders to lose last week, and they did, but it was a very close game.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna give the New York Islanders their flowers and take them over the New Jersey Devils.
I like it. You know what? I hope that uh this game is just like the New York Rangers in the Devils game, where they drop their gloves to start the game and just have an all-out brawl.
That was awesome.
That was pretty sick. UFL time. Again, UFL, spring football, has been great. I don't know if you guys watched this weekend, but if you watched the DC Defenders game, they were down
Oh, I guess we didn't even talk about
10.
UFL this week.
Yeah, we didn't, but I think our,
We
I
will
think,
next week
I think
when
our,
the sports die down.
yeah, when the sports die down. But if you didn't see that one, DC Defenders were down 10 with 40 seconds left, and per the rules, they ended up winning the game. Scored a touchdown, went for two, and then in the USFL, you get the ball back under 2 minutes if you score a touchdown. So they got the ball back, kicked a field goal, won the game. Crazy football. And I'm actually rolling with Griffin's team this week. I'm rolling with the Michigan Panthers over the Brahmas. I think the Brahmas are a good team. They beat my DC Defenders, but I don't think my DC Defenders are that good, if I'm going to be honest. But I really think this Michigan Panthers team has been good. I just learned that Adrian Martinez was their starting quarterback. I did not know that, and I did not realize that. But I'm going to take the fellow Big Ten, Big 12 guy. Won a Big 12 championship. Adrian Martinez threw for 348 yards last week, and I think that just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, well, I went and took my team, which I've usually picked since we've done this, so I had to go with someone different here. And my second favorite team that I've picked is the St. Louis Battlehawks because they are a wannabe NFL team because of
Yeah.
the attendance they get in St. Louis.
They got
Because
AJ McCarron, too, dude.
the the Rams kind of left them to die like twice, so I feel bad for them, and I hope that their year this year is a better one for the entire city
Yeah.
of St. Louis. And the showboats have been really bad, like really bad. Them and the Roughnecks are the worst I've seen. So
Yeah.
I don't really see a world where the Battlehawks lose this one.
Yep. On to the last one, NASCAR. We always end with NASCAR. I actually thought this was funny because Griffin up above talked about how the Chevys and the Toyotas are absolutely dominating, and we expect that to be the case this weekend. But me and Griffin come out here and decide to pick three Fords. So, you know what? We'll see how it rolls. I'm going with Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski. You look at this. This is not necessarily like the greatest picks in the world, but the way I look at it, Brad and Chase both had top 10 finishes in Martinsville on a short track, and then they turn around and get top 10 finishes, one and two, in Texas on an intermediate track. I don't know how well this is all going to translate over to a super speedway, but Griffin did talk about how Brad is does have a pretty good reputation on super speedways with pushing and being involved in the draft. So I kind of feel good about this. These are just two drivers that are kind of racing really good right now, and I know crashes happen to all of us, so anything could happen this week. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think these two have been racing good, and I'm just gonna stick with them.
Yeah, this Talladega week is always interesting. You really don't know who's going to be left standing at the end of it. Um, I do talk shit about the Fords, but that's only because they just can't find speed on their own. But together, in drafting situations, the Fords are in a league of their own usually. I do respect the picks with Chase Elliott and Brad. Brad always does well in super speedways if he doesn't get wrecked. And Chase is off some pretty good momentum right now. But I think Blaney and Logano deserve to have a good week. Neither of them have a win this season. Blaney's gotten close, but I just think it's time for them to get it together. We're almost 1/3 of the way through the season, and if you're gonna start making a push, it's got to be now, literally. So I have Blaney and Logano getting in the top 10.
Well, I rode with the Penske boys 2 weeks ago, and it worked well for me. So hopefully it works well for you. I'm trying to do reverse psychology there, but all right. Well, that's the end of the pod. That's all we got for you. Hope you guys have a good one. Episodes go out every Tuesday at 11:30 in the morning. Peace.